Hi, my name is Brandon, and today we're going to be going over some basic camera training here at CitrusTV. Now, the first thing you should get when grabbing any sort of equipment is an SD card. Now, we highly recommend grabbing your own SD card, or buying one rather, on Amazon or even at the Shine Student Center. But right here in Citrus, we actually do provide some SD cards here on this shelf. Just make sure you grab one labeled with your department. Here at the equipment closet, you can find all the rest of gear you need for a basic shoot. Whenever you're going out, you should always grab a camera kit, a tripod, and a battery. You may also need a light and a light battery if wherever you're going, it tends to be a little dark out. Once you have all your equipment, you can sign it out using this sign out sheet right here, and then you're ready to go. Once you're at your shooting location and you've made sure all your equipment works, it's time to first set up the tripod. Now, in order to set up the tripod, flick open these red levers to let the legs fall straight down to the ground. Make sure that they are kept together while they fall so you don't really mess it up that much. Once all the legs are down, you can raise the tripod up to either your or an interviewee's eye level. And then you can flick the red levers back down in order to lock all the legs. Just like this. Once all the legs are locked, you can spread them out to make sure that the tripod is nice and stable as far out as possible, making sure that all the legs are safely neat on the ground. Once it's all set up, you're ready to put the camera on. When opening up your camera case, it should have all the basics: a camera, a microphone cable, and a white sheet of paper. Make sure you have all this equipment in the camera case before you leave the studio. When holding the camera, make sure you always carry it by the top so you don't accidentally drop it. To put your camera on the tripod, first unscrew this knob on the side, and then looking at this arrow on the front or back of the tripod, slide the camera in until you hear a click noise. Once clicked, you can re-screw this knob in to tighten up the camera. First, let's level the camera. With one hand on top of the camera and using this knob, slowly loosen it until the camera is freely moving. If you loosen it too much, it might fall off, so make sure you're being very careful. Using this bubble on the side of the tripod, move the camera until the bubble is centered in the circle. Once centered, twist the knob again to tighten the camera so it's nice and level. Let's put the battery in the camera and turn it on. To put the battery in the camera, align these holes in the back of the battery with these pegs in the back of the camera. Simply put the battery in the camera and push down in order to put the battery in. Make sure you don't force anything or it might break the camera. In order to turn the camera on, simply flick this lever right here to the left. Once the light turns green, the camera's on. Now, let's put the SD card into the camera. Open the card slots by pushing this lever to the side to open the door. As you can see, there's a card reader in slot A. These card readers should never be removed from the camera. Simply push the SD card into the card reader until you hear a nice click. Once the red light turns green, you're all good to go. Next, let's open the viewfinder and open the lens cap in order to get our lovely camera working. Let's talk about all the rings in the front of the camera. This ring controls the focus, this ring controls the zoom, and this ring controls the iris or saturation of the video. You can also zoom using the rocker on the right side of the camera. Moving on to other functions of the camera, the ND filter is like a pair of sunglasses for the camera and should be kept on clear unless in really bright scenarios. The gain is the opposite and is like a night mode for the camera and should be kept on low unless in really dark scenarios. Both of these filters do affect the quality of the video and should only be used in these specific scenarios. Now, let's talk about audio. In order to plug the microphone into the cable to then go into the camera, align the prongs at the bottom of the microphone with the holes in the cable. Simply push it in until you hear a nice click. Once again, don't force anything. Put the cable into the camera using the exact same method. Now, let's talk about our audio settings. Both of the inputs on the side of the camera should be set to mic and exterior. This way, all our audio is coming out of the microphone. If you want to film B-roll using the internal microphone, you can set the settings to internal. To test the audio levels, tap on the microphone and check to make sure that the audio levels in 1 and 2 in the bottom right corner of the viewfinder are going up. Once all your equipment is set up, you can start recording or start an interview. So let's go over some common journalistic practices whenever you're doing an interview. First, always be transparent about who you are and that you're a reporter for CitrusTV. Whenever you introduce yourself to people, always be transparent about what your story is and ask if people have a few moments to talk to you. If they don't respond or say no, don't be discouraged. Not everyone likes to be on camera. If your interview says yes, we'll start with white balancing. Ask your interviewee to step in front of the camera and hold up the white piece of paper from the camera case. Zoom in on the paper, focus, and press the white balance button on the bottom right corner in front of the camera. To set up your interview shot, have your camera situated so the interviewee is standing on the left or right third of the viewfinder. The interviewee should also be looking in the opposite direction towards the empty space in the viewfinder. The interviewee should be looking at you when you're asking questions, so make sure you stand appropriately on a diagonal from the person. Now, the first questions you should ask any interviewee is to state and spell their first and last name, their job or title, and their pronouns. If you're interviewing an SU student, you should also ask them what their grade is and what major they are. When interviewing people, it's important to ask very open-ended questions. If I were to ask Cora, are you happy?
Yeah.
I don't really get much of an answer, but if I were to ask Cora, why are you happy?
I'm happy because I'm here at CitrusTV and I get to have fun with all my friends.
I get a much longer answer and overall more content to use. Once you're done with your interview, you can simply thank them for their time and start to pack your things. To take the microphone cable out of the camera, push in the button on top of the cable and pull outwards. To take the cable out of the microphone, push in the button on the cable and do the same thing. Close the lens cap, close the viewfinder, turn off the camera, and then push this button on top of the battery to simply take it out. To take the camera off the tripod, unscrew the knob, and then slide the camera off while holding down this red button. To close up the tripod, put all of the legs together, open up the red levers again to put the tripod all the way down, and then lock them again. Make sure you neatly wrap up all your cables and place the camera back in the case with the strap facing upwards. Once all your equipment is packed up, you can close your camera case, lock it up, and head back over to studio. Well, congratulations, you've successfully completed basic camera training here at CitrusTV. I know that was a lot of information, so you can watch this video back whenever you want, or schedule an in-person camera training session to run it all through over again. Once you think you know it all, you can schedule a camera test where you'll be asked to set up a camera and do an interview. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you soon.